Next time on History Detectives.
Found this in the attic.
Is this a super sketch of the Man of Steel?
So what you've got here is a mystery.
Are these the long-lost recordings of a blues legend?
That would really be something.
And did this bottle help fuel the Whiskey Rebellion?
Harsh words were exchanged, then shots rang out.
Find out the facts next time on History Detectives.
Watch The History Detectives, Monday nights at 8 on KERA.
Next time on POV, a famous father,
the world-famous Harlem Globetrotters,
a searching son.
The first time I remember meeting my dad, I was 8 years old.
A family reconnects in the Oscar-nominated film Hardwood, only on POV.
Tuesday at 10:30 on KERA. Kathleen's Art Cafe offers varying menus, takeout lunches, and catering. Located on Lover's Lane between Douglas and the Toll Road, and at Lakeside Market Shopping Center on Preston Road in Plano. This program is made possible by D. Lincoln of Del Frisco's Double Eagle Steakhouse, now serving dinner 7 days a week. 972-490-9000 in Dallas and 817-877-3999 in Fort Worth.
On Nova, engineering skyscrapers of the future. What have we learned from 9/11?
The public felt the steel was fireproof.
Suddenly the columns snapped.
What's been done about it since?
We need more fire-resistant buildings, more resistant to collapse. Those things were obvious within the days after the event. We have taken a very long time getting them into our codes.
Building on Ground Zero on Nova.
All new, Tuesday night at 7 on KERA.
Next time on Nature. Crocodiles and alligators. Masters of stealth.
They can hide in almost nothing. They can hold their breath for hours and lay motionless for hours.
Beware these ancient commandos. They've had over 2 million years to practice. One of a 4-part series. The Reptiles.
Tomorrow at 7 on KERA.
Coming up on Texas Parks and Wildlife.
Water conservation is the least expensive way to increase available water for your community.
Ocelots are rare. There are probably no more than 120 animals in the state of Texas and thus in all of the United States.
I've never been on a ranch where there's too much water, and the Austins have actually created an oasis here in the desert.
Texas Parks and Wildlife, a television series for all outdoors.
This series is funded in part by a grant from the Sport Fish and Wildlife Restoration Program. Through your purchases of hunting and fishing equipment and motorboat fuels, nearly $20 million in conservation efforts are funded in Texas each year.
One of the things we all have in common is water. From agriculture to industry, from individuals clustered in cities, to fish and wildlife spread across Texas. In one way or another, we all depend on water. The choices we make, the actions we all take, ultimately link our lifestyle today to what future generations will know as Texas tomorrow. The obvious place to start is not to waste water in the first place.
I guess by human nature, it's so easy to turn that faucet on and there's water. And, you know, thoughtlessly, we leave it running. thoughtlessly, we use more water than we have to.
To find ways to decrease this waste, the Texas legislature created the Water Conservation Task Force. Ranchers, farmers, state and local agencies, industry, and environmental groups came together, all focused on one goal.
Well, it's kind of an interesting group, all sitting around the same table, talking about how can we conserve water.
It's important.
A lot of emphasis in that group placed on the per capita, per person daily use, and how different it is in some parts of the state. How San Antonio, for example, has done a good job of reducing per capita use, and where there's other large municipal areas in the state that, you know, at least on the surface, appear to use a lot of water, where they've got a lot of room to conserve.
Water conservation is the least expensive way to increase available water for your community. Every water conservation program has to explore their own system, because sometimes that's the easiest place to identify the lost water. What you need to do is survey that system, have a program, a leak detection program that ferrets out those problems and corrects them.
When irrigating large expanses of landscapes, you don't need to use drinking water. One way to reduce that use is by reuse.
It's water from our sanitary sewer that's been treated to a level that we can use it for landscapes and other non-potable uses, and then it's pumped back up through the city to use on our golf courses, on large landscapes all over the city. In San Antonio, we're talking about our recycled water replacing 20% of the potable water that we use.
The water conservation innovations in San Antonio are not unique and can be duplicated in other Texas cities, if there is a will. The same can be said for rural areas, where water conservation also has bred innovations and a wider scope of vision.
These springs are the first documented springs which make up the upper reaches of the Guadalupe River system. Most people consider that spring to be the headwaters of the Guadalupe River. And it is, but the real headwaters begin up in these range sites adjacent to these springs and these aquifers. It's what happens up here is what determines what is going on down there at the springs, in our aquifers, in our rivers, in our river flow.
Land stewardship is nothing new, but has been refined to address regional variations. The more water absorbed by a wealthy habitat, the greater the recharge to our aquifers, rivers, and ultimately, the bays. It begins on the private property of farmers and ranchers hundreds of miles from the coast.
You start out here by creating more water, conserving water on the west side of Texas, and as it moves south and east, you just continue to improve on that right on down. Brush management, I guess, would be the father of all that. You've got to start someplace. And brush management, you can create water and send it right on down the rivers and streams.
Land stewardship is really a frame of mind that guides selecting options to complement a habitat. It happens on ranches. It happens in the courtyard of an elementary school. It even happens in new housing developments.
Well, our concept is a little different in that we don't go in and clear the entire neighborhood at one time. We take down units and home sites as they're bought up by buyers and as we decide to build homes on them.
Well, let me tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Chuck Hansen. I am 57 years of age. I am from Texas. I've lived there for over 51 years. I'm a graduate of SMU, which I lovingly called the Harvard of the Southwest, right? I had a C average when I got out of school, and every time I give a speech and I tell people about this job I got, I'm really happy because I'm a real credit to all C students in America. I'm married. I'm married to a gal named Karen. She has 2 children. I have 4 children. Guess how many children I got? Now I got 6. But thank God all of them are working. Nobody's on the payroll, except one's about to go back to graduate school. That means he's back on the payroll. And I have 2 cats. And so there, I tell you a little bit about myself. 34 years ago, I interviewed with a company called Fieldcrest. I interviewed because I graduated in 1962. I worked as a securities analyst, you know, these stock pickers, stock analysts. I was a trainee, worked for a bank in Dallas, Texas, and they fired me. They fired me because they said I didn't do a good job, and they were absolutely right. I didn't do a good job. I hate to read and write. I really do. So you can now you just figured out why I'm a C student. Interview with Fieldcrest. A fellow named Dave Tracy said no. He just didn't think I measured up to be a Fieldcrest man. So they were kind enough to recommend me to some former Fieldcrest people who were running a company called Quaker Lace Company. And so for 2 years, 1 year in Dallas and 1 year in Chicago, I sold lace tablecloths. Now, can you picture me selling a lace tablecloth? Well, I did. I traveled 8 states out of Dallas and I think 9 states out of Chicago. My wife and I, by that time, have 2 children, snow up to here, freezing to death, and we're broke. And so we decided to go back to Texas because it's warmer there. And God, it's just the cost of living was a heck of a lot less than living in Chicago, which we did. And I went to work for a company called Pillowtex. That was 1965. And our sales were $1.5 million that year. And you know what our sales are going to be this next year? This year, right here, 1998. $1.65 billion. Now, I'll tell you something. I'll match that growth with any other company in this country. That's phenomenal. And I'll tell you one thing, I'm ecstatic about it because I always wanted to work for Fieldcrest, and you've probably either heard that or read that. That's really the truth. And so my dream, which I will hope becomes your dream, is that I get a chance to do something I always wanted to do. And so here we are. And so how did all this happen? How did Pillowtex and Fieldcrest Cannon come together? You read all these stories, but how did it really happen? You want to know the inside story? The story that the newspapers never printed because they didn't know it. The board of directors of Fieldcrest Cannon, early in 1996, decided they wanted a new chairman. Do you know that? They wanted a new chairman, and so they hired a search firm to go out and look for a new chairman. This individual was going to run this company and replace Jim Fitzgibbons. Wow. You didn't know that, did you? Well, the one thing you can find out about me over the next 13 years, because that's as long as I'm going to be here, I'm retiring when I'm 70, is I'll tell you just exactly how it is. Now you got to understand, they're trying to lure some guy away from another business or whatever, bring him out of retirement or something, pay him a lot of money, and he's supposed to be the savior of this company. And they said, geez, after we hire this person, we pay them all the money, are we any better? Because what we're betting is that one individual can transform a corporation, etc. So at that time they said, better yet, why don't we sell Fieldcrest? Did you know that? What you have heard is that Jim Fitzgibbons wanted to sell and sold this company down. That's not true. Jim Fitzgibbons did not want to leave. We chairmen never want to leave. We want to put ourselves into our seats in those offices upstairs, put a seat belt on and lock the doors so we don't have to leave. That's human nature. And so then the process started. Now I want some of you to recall, because some of you were here, it was not too many years ago that this company was financially impaired, and that's a nice way of saying it, nearly went bankrupt. And many of you recall having gone home on one particular night with your stomach tied up in knots, because I've I've had those feelings before, not about bankruptcy, but about personal issues in my life. It's a terrible time. Can't sleep well. Maybe it was more than one night. Because, in fact, two of the greatest companies in the history of textiles were about to implode and go away. And what was going to happen? No one knew. I want you to recall one other time. A time when if Walter Elisha of Springs Industries would have paid $1 more per share, $1, that represented $9 million. Let's make it 10. Let's round out. But in the scheme of a $700 million, $600 million, $10 million is not a lot of money. If you can afford $600 million, you can afford $610 million. For $1 more, Fieldcrest Cannon would have in fact been a part of Springs Industries. How pitiful. How sad. Because it would have been a disservice to you and the people you work with, and would have been a disservice to the consumers of America. I really believe that. Do you want 2 sheet and towel mills in this country? Where companies like Dan River and Springs, once again, by the way, once again, came back in and were trying to buy the company because Ward wanted to sell it. In April of last year, I walked down the street in New York to the Fieldcrest showroom. I think it's, I forget what it is, it's in the Time and Life building. Saw Jim and I said, I believe Pillowtex would like to buy Fieldcrest Cannon. He turned a little white. Said, well, I'll tell my board. And that was the last time we ever talked about it. That was the last time we talked about it. About that time, all kinds of investment bankers come in, lawyers. God, I love lawyers. Anyway, all these people in the process started. And we were the distant dark horse. No one believed that I would be standing here this morning. Walter Elisha called me up and said, do you have the money? Did we have the money? If we didn't, I wouldn't be standing here this morning. So what happened? I happen to think we're the best choice of the choices out there. And why? We're not in the sheet and towel business. So we want to support the sheet and towel business and all the people and you and everyone who works here. We want to grow a business. We're growers of businesses. I have a record of $1.5 million going up to $1.6 billion. Did Walter Elisha do that? Did Holcomb Green do that? No. But this company is now part of, as I'm a part of and you're a part of, the most dynamic company in the world of home textiles. And why? If you take the brands, Cannon, Royal Velvet, Touch of Class, Charisma, Monticello, you can think of towels, you can think of sheets, also think of bed pillows, down comforters, mattress pads, blankets, and throws. None of these other companies can do that. Look at the towel Big and Soft. Does Big and Soft sound better on a bed pillow or a towel? Well, I'm a little partial. I think it sounds better on a bed pillow or a mattress pad. And that's why we're going to win. And we are in a wonderful battle. We are in a battle to win the market share that we truly deserve and want. And the retailers of America want that to be the case. And already we've made changes. You know that. You can feel that. You can sense that. On the 17th of September of 1997 was probably one of the greatest days of my life because I got to announce it. And several months later, the 19th of December, bad time of year, we eliminated a lot of management in this company. You may agree or disagree. That's your place. But the reality is, my job, as is your job, is to run a place efficiently. And we said all along, from a production perspective, we would never touch a thing. Did we do it? Did I do it? Did I uphold my word? You're absolutely right, I did. And so what I'm trying to do is, in a brief period of time of 10, 15 minutes this morning, 20 minutes this morning, is you're going to form an opinion of me, and you probably already have. You probably have figured out that I like to sell. But then again, I told you I was a salesman. And I still am a salesman. I'm a salesman for this company. The second thing is, you're determining I have a lot of passion for what I do. I really believe in what I do because I love what I do. Thirdly, is that I personally have a significant investment in the success of this. You may or may not know, I'm happy to report, I'm one of the largest shareholders. So that puts a lot of more impetus on me to do a good job. Why would I want to risk my nest egg, etc., if I weren't going to do a good job and believe that it's a good idea? I want you to know this. I want you to know that shortly when you go to the canteens in the various factories and you buy a cold drink, there'll be a nickel less. Now, don't think of me as Walmart. We'll get around to Walmart. Everybody always wants to talk about Walmart. But why? Why did cold drinks go down a nickel? You know why they went down a nickel? Because this company made about $300,000 to $350,000 off the profits in the canteens. Now, let me tell you what they did with the money. They took the money and they gave it back in terms of scholarships and contributions to the United Way. So I want to quickly make sure you don't believe that the money was used for the profits of shareholders. I don't believe in that. Because if this company takes money from you, then you ought to tell us how to spend the money. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to wind up spending more money than they did, and we're going to reduce the prices in the canteens. That's a revenue neutral situation. I mean, it costs us a little bit of money. Before we made a little money, but now that's not the case anymore. I don't believe that's appropriate. I want you to know that Fieldcrest Cannon gave out less money in charity than Pillowtex does, and it's twice the size. Now, I always believe in you show me what you've done, and I'll tell you what you are. And that's what I want you to judge me on. So where are we going? We got $1.65 billion for the sales. Well, let me tell you that things are moving. You can sense that. There's an undercurrent. We're going to save money in purchasing. We're going to save money in terms of changing the loom structure from making $2 towels to $6 towels. Not entirely. We're going to raise prices. When was the last time someone in this company said, let's raise prices? Not everybody always makes right decisions, but the reality is we're raising prices as we speak. Why not? It's like I own a meat market. I'm selling bologna. Anybody here like bologna? I love bologna. I love McDonald's hamburgers too. You got $5 worth of bologna, but there's a $10 demand for the bologna. There's people lined out the door to buy my bologna. I only got $5 worth. What do you think I'm going to do? I'm going to make it a $10 bologna. Well, that's what it is in the towel business. And that's what we're going to do. That's what's happening in the sheet business. We're not going to always, it's not always the responsibility of manufacturing to produce the profits of this corporation. It takes a complete combined effort. 2 weeks ago today, we had a meeting with the senior management of Fieldcrest Cannon, and we went over what is called the business plan for 1998. That's where you say, okay, we're going to do so many towels and so many sheets, and this factory is going to operate this way and so on. It's about a 6-hour meeting. To an individual, these people came up to me over the course of the next 2 days and said, one, it was the best meeting they'd ever been to. And two, more decisions were made in that 6 hours than had been made in the last 4 to 6 years. Bill Mooring, last night, wanted to buy 10 more looms for Kannapolis for a cost of I'm going to say about $1.5 million. 10 more looms. Do you know how long it took to make the decision? About 1 minute. 1 minute. You know, we went down to the office to find him. He'd already left. He'll find out this morning. You know it before he does. We're going to buy 288 new looms for sheets. We have starved the sheet side of this business. And that's all. That's over. Now, do you get a sense that we make decisions? I'm not afraid to make a decision. But now, I'm not like a Jim Fitzgibbons, and I'm not like anybody else that's been in this industry. I'm not speaking against Jim. I think Jim's a wonderful guy, and he was very, very cooperative and very supportive. Obviously, up to a point, he really didn't want me to be here. But that's okay. I wouldn't want him to be here either. But I'm the type of person who is very accessible. I believe in management by walking around. I cannot stand to sit in an office. I walk the floors of all of our factories. All of them. And I'm going to walk your floors too. I'm going to be there because I want to meet most of the people. I have probably met, Pillowtex has 4,000 people. I've probably met nearly all of them. And I'll meet all 10,000 on this side of the house. But one thing is very important. Let's not get into he's a Pillowtex person, she's a Fieldcrest lady, and he's a Canon person. But we have an opportunity here to build a business in a fashion to a level that you've never believed. We are committed to spending hundreds of millions of dollars to improve the production facilities here. We have already committed, the Fieldcrest board already committed to spend $68 million, $70 million this year. It is our intention to expand that by at least $30 to $50 million this year, 1998. When was the last time someone said that? We're going to buy 288 new looms. Now, by the way, getting back to what I said earlier, it's not a Pillowtex person. It's not a Fieldcrest person, and it's not Canon. Maybe we ought to call ourselves the X-Files. I don't know. But we're all in this together. And so if there's a sense that, well, they're from Dallas. Well, they're from North Carolina. Who cares? We're all in this together. We have a terrific opportunity. We have the enthusiasm of our customer base. We make the best products. We make the best towels. Little work to do on sheets. Okay? I'm not going to tell you we make the best sheets. We don't. It's not because of the people out there. It's because of the machinery. It's the machinery. So let's make some things real clear. We create product by taking cotton, producing yarn, and weaving it into a towel or a sheet. That's what our basic businesses are. And that's what we need to support all the way through. So everything that I have done and we are doing and we're going to do collectively is to support the people who are here. And people are the most important thing to me, and that's credo number one. The people working for you are extraordinarily important because we're people-oriented. And if we ever stop being people-oriented, we got a problem. Because we're not going to make $1.6 billion worth of product without people. They have not found a machine to replace people. And if they do, the first person they're probably going to go after is me. So I want you to understand where I'm coming from. Now, part of the reason why you're here today is, one, I want you to know me. Two, I want you to know where we're going. Three, I want you to have a confidence that wages aren't going to be changed, 401ks aren't going to be changed, health benefits aren't going to be changed, pensions aren't going to be changed. But we will, in fact, try to find ways to save money to make this company more profitable so we can put all the money back in the business. That's a fair deal. If the stock goes up, the shareholders are real happy. They're not going to get any more dividends than they got. We're going to reinvest our money back in this business. That's really important. That's very important. So we need to understand what's the truth and what's not the truth. And you have to judge, as the people you work with, am I sincere? Is my heart in the right spot? And most importantly, is the direction of this company positive? And I don't think the outlook for Pillowtex / Fieldcrest / Canon has ever been brighter. My son gave me for Christmas, I love history. I love the roots of a business. Canon being founded in 1887. Wow, that's 110 years ago. That's incredible. Largest textile mill in the world. My son, who works in Washington, went to the Library of Congress and looked up the history of Canon and found a man who authored a book about Canon, and he called him up. The man had died. His widow had one book left, and I have that book. It's the history of Canon Mills. And I remember seeing in the picture on the right side of, as you pull up to this huge company, I mean, you think about being, I drove up here this morning, I'm going, my God, I'm going to walk in that building. I mean, y'all sort of take it for granted, but you have to understand, if you saw where I work in Dallas versus what the front of this building is, you're going to say, my God, you poor thing. You poor thing. But on the right side of the building for years, when it was just Canon, there was this gorgeous sign that said Canon and had a picture of a Canon and Mills. I've tried to find that sign. It's not. We can't find it. It was destroyed, or taken down and disposed of. But I'm really sorry that we can't, and we might, but I think we got some other dollars to spend. It's pretty expensive before we do that. I'd love to have a Fieldcrest sign on the left and a Canon sign on the right. And I'd love to have them lighted, and I'd love to find the oldest living Fieldcrest employee and the oldest living Canon employee and let them flip a switch and turn the lights on. Because that's what I'm going to do in this place. I'm going to turn the lights on, and you are too. So together, we have an unbelievable opportunity. So I want to tell you that I promise to do my part and work hard to make this the most successful company in the world. And I ask you to join me in that. Because I can't do it by myself, and you can't do it by yourself. You have to do it all together as a group, and I want to be part of your group, and I want you to be part of my group, because we're all the same group. We're all the same group. So I really appreciate your being here this morning, and I hope you'll ask me some questions. Because as I said, the only way is for us to interact. You could either ask them of me now, or you can call me later, or whatever. I'll answer your questions. But I hope that this morning you have a sense of where I've been, where this company has been, and where I think it's going to go, and what my vision is. But I think it's all of our vision. It's not something unique to Chuck Hansen. It's something that you want this company to prosper so that we can have the financial integrity. You'll never have to worry about it being sold. I don't sell businesses. This company doesn't sell businesses. We build things. We're going to buy other companies, though. And I'll make you a prediction, within 3 years we'll be $2 billion. I never thought I'd work for a $2 billion company. Did you? And one final thing. The managers, the future managers of this company are you. We don't need any Harvard MBAs to come here who are instant managers. And your replacements, as you move up the line, need to come out of the hourly staff. You see, I got a chance. I'm a salesman, and I got a chance to live a dream. Unbelievable dream. You know, I meet congressmen, United States senators. I mean, whoa! I even called my mother and said, you won't believe who I met. I've got, you know, how many guys get a chance to do that? Well, I have, and I'm obviously enjoying it. But I want you to have a chance, and I want the people in those factories to have a chance. If you think you could ever hire someone on the outside who knows as much about you in terms of managing this business or making product or whatever, you're crazy. We can't. And I want you to know that. But I want the people in our factories to be trained to be the next managers, and I want you to be moving up the line. And the best way to expedite everything is to expand this business. Expand it, make it bigger, reinvest in the business, and make it profitable. If you'll do your part, I promise I'll do my part.